Next up is a solution to what may be an embarrassing personal problem.
Hello, Sharks. My name is Brittany Lemon, and I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Today, I am seeking $200,000 for 30% equity, and no one wants to deal with that when you're out trying to have a good time. Introducing the Chub Rub Patch.
Whatever you're doing right now, I need you to stop what you're doing and give some super claps for Super Brittany Lemon. Woo! Hey, I should have asked before we
Thanks for
started.
having me. Thank you so much. It's so exciting. I love it.
I'm excited, to have you. I'm glad you reached out so quickly, and we're going to talk about the Chub Rub as you saw prior to the episode starting. I needed to focus in on that, and we're gonna jump right in. So, Brittany, what was your relationship with Shark Tank prior to ever thinking you would get to go on Shark Tank?
So that's kind of a funny story to start it off. I have always had, like, I guess you would say, like, the inventor brain. And I've always been coming up with stuff. Like, I remember when I was in the 5th grade, I was like, hey, Mom, how about this? And I always loved Shark Tank. I thought it was great. And actually, I think it was 8 years ago, I had invented a hair tool because I'm a makeup artist and a hairstylist for WWE. But I've been a makeup artist and hairstylist for 20 years. And so I created this hair tool, and I actually applied for Shark Tank 8 years ago. And it was like one of those castings where you stand in line for 8 hours. And everyone's like, oh my God, that sounds horrible. But to me, it was amazing because you're surrounded by all entrepreneurs, inventors, and they've been through all the same crazy stuff that you have been. So they kind of know all the blood, sweat, and tears that you've gone through, they've gone through as well.
That gets we get the things off early here because you know what?
Ding dings.
The line is the best part most of the time. I can't tell you how many times I've waited in line, not for casting calls, but for products, usually iPhones, the Wii, like a couple of times, and some other game consoles and other releases. And the line is the best part because you're with the true fans of
exactly.
the thing that you're about to experience or purchase or whatever.
Exactly. And if you've never done it, you would never understand.
Yeah. No, I've made lots of friends over the years waiting in line.
That's so crazy. I love it.
Yeah, some of them was crazy because I let them drive me places because I didn't have a car when I was in Texas. So that's really cool. So where's that hair tool at today?
So that was 8 years ago, and I had actually brought it to market. I manufactured the product. I brought it to hair shows. And at that point, I didn't know really much about inventing or anything. I mean, I kind of just learned as I went. I went to a few like entrepreneur, there was Meetup at the time, meetup.com. I don't know if you still have that.
They still have that. Yeah.
It was amazing because like we would meet at a coffee shop and you would sign NDAs and like talk about your product and all of that. So I did that and I went to these hair shows and I found this hairstylist that was amazing. She was on reality TV shows and she's like, yes, I would love to promote it. And then it kind of like fell through the cracks because she was like, you're not selling it anywhere. Like you're not in any stores. You're only selling it online. And so I was trying to get into stores. And as an inventor brain, I came up with the next product and the next product and the next product. So it kind of just fell through the cracks. And I said during COVID, I was going to bring it back, but I was so busy with the Chub Rub patch that I didn't get a chance to. So it's called the Britlet and it might come back around.
Look, ideas, that's why we always got to have our idea books, right?
Yes.
Because and in this case, you've took it further than that. Mm-hmm. But you got to have the idea book because you never know when something's going to be a better idea or the time is right for you or for audiences to actually understand what the heck it is or feel comfortable. Or sometimes it takes other things to come out for people to like get their noodles going because people aren't very like by and large people are not very creative when it comes to like I see pen. How do I use this pen? Like, how am I going to apply this to my life? And and as that inventor brain, like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I walk around stores and I just to get ideas of like, how can I improve my setup? How
Yes.
can I improve my workflow? Things I don't know exist yet, you know, just to, look
Exactly.
at this. And then I'm like, I'm Googling it and saying like, oh, wow, look at the reviews. Okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I could take this and try it out and see if it fits in to my workflow,
Exactly.
you know?
It's so funny. Have you ever had like a dream about a product and then you like, I get up, put it in my notes, go back to bed, go back to those notes, and I'm like, wait, is this a real thing or not? And then I look it up and I'm like, okay, it's already been invented. We'll pass on that one. Then I'm like, oh wait, it hasn't. This is amazing.
Yes, no, ding ding, absolutely. I've written a book that way. I figured out how I was going to pack my car when I was a DJ, like years because I had a Mini Cooper and I was a vinyl DJ. So like I got the speaker system and like 6 to 8 crates of records and turntables and mixer and.
Yeah.
I had a dream about how to fit everything in, and then I woke up and I was like, "Oh, it worked! All right, cool." Like,
That's amazing. I mean, first of all, amazing packing a Mini Cooper with DJ equipment. I mean, come on, ding ding to you.
yeah, right. Thank you. It was definitely it was fun. It was fun to get to show up to gigs with, but it was a bit of a pain to pack, and I got some
Yes.
stories of times where I had to pack in a very much of a hurry.
Yes.
But anyway,
You got it done.
I'm curious. Let's dive before we get to like Shark Tank and thinking you might even get to go on Shark Tank or anything like that with your current product. Let's talk about your WWE. How do you fall into WWE as a and do you have to travel for this, right? Are you constantly traveling?
I travel 4 to 5 days a week because we have a show on Monday and we have a show on Friday. So I'm traveling Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So it's pretty crazy, and you don't really fall into the job. It's kind of I worked, like I said, I've worked for 20 years as a makeup artist and a hairstylist, and I kind of just worked my way in and kept showing up on time, being the best makeup artist and hairstylist that I knew I could. And a friend photographer of mine actually referred me. And so I've been working with WWE for 8 years now. And we travel all over. We travel Saudi Arabia. We went to Cardiff. We're going to be going to Puerto Rico. I mean, Paris, London. I mean, all these other places. It's amazing.
And those aren't live though, right? Those are recorded and then no, they are live?
Live. Yes. Live television.
Oh, I did not realize that. I was under the impression that it was like they filmed it like 4 days earlier in that city and then they chop it up and
Nope.
okay.
Every Monday night and Friday night it's live. And we have pay-per-views.
It used to be
once a month.
Thursday night for a while.
It's been all different kinds, but when I first started, it was Mondays and Tuesdays, and then now it's Mondays, Fridays, and then that's when it's live. I mean, we work like a 10, 12, 14-hour day, and when it's 8 o'clock on the East Coast, you better have that hair and makeup done, or else.
Yeah, where else? That's yeah, that's a good full stop. So okay. I think that is very dingable right there. Show up, right? Keep showing up and don't stop showing up and and showing up on time and doing the things that need to be done when they need to be done because you don't want other people's money like draining because you didn't get something done in time.
Exactly.
That's phenomenal. Though. That's got to be tough though on with the travel schedule.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's easy. That's for sure. I mean, I'm having a little bit of Red Bull right here. That's the entrepreneur life. But for me, I'm a go person, and I love the hustle, and I've always been that way. And I feel like that's the reason why I am successful is because I put in the hard work, and it's like if you keep putting in the hard work and staying consistent, you get things done.
Absolutely. So speaking of getting things done, did you apply for Shark Tank with the Chub Rub, or did they find you?
So it's kind of funny how that worked because I actually did apply, but that's not how they found me. They found me through TikTok because I've had over 22 million views on TikTok.
Woo.
And ding ding. had many viral videos, and the producer found me through TikTok, sent me an email saying she found me through TikTok, and I was kind of like, is this a scam? You know, like, is this real? Like, I don't think this is real. And then I was talking to a friend of mine that's also an inventor, and I'm like, well, do I respond? Like, what do you think? Of course you respond, you know, and see where it goes. And I responded, and here we are.
No, it's it's funny because you're probably like, I already applied, like tell like but I
Yeah.
already applied. Like, does that,
Well, they ask you those questions. They ask you tons of questions to get on the show. You've heard it is not an easy task. It's like another full-time job. So it's definitely difficult to get on. So they ask, and they're like, hey, have you tried out before? Okay, when have you tried out? Oh, okay. I had to tell them that I tried out 8 years ago, never made it here, you know, and all this stuff. It's so crazy.
No, that's a great point. I mean, from your perspective, or I mean, from my perspective, if I was in that position, I would be nervous to tell them that I tried 8 years ago and then be like, but I had a different product and it wasn't the same product. And like,
Yeah, but at the same time, I honestly don't think that they care about that, because you've seen, there's a few people that have even been on twice. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like, and it's really, of course, about your story, but it's about the product too, you know? So it's like, hey, maybe your product sucked before, maybe it doesn't, or maybe the producer was having a bad day, and, you know, it's just different things go on. So I really wasn't honestly nervous about that at all.
Okay. All right. That's good to know for, for other entrepreneurs that are looking to take the Shark Tank journey.
Keep trying,
Now,
keep trying, keep trying.
yeah, well, I was a Kim Meckwood. She did, like 7 times applied, to be able to get on, and she finally was able to break through with and
That's
get on
amazing.
with the click and carry. So
I love that.
it takes, sometimes it takes more than once. You got to be able to, take a punch in the face a few times
Oh,
of
and
no.
as an entrepreneur and inventor, you definitely know. I mean, I always say this, like at like 9 o'clock in the morning, you're at your high, right? You're starting your day, and then you get an email at 10 o'clock and you're down, and it's not good news. And then at 12 o'clock, you get a phone call, and it's like, okay, this is great. And then something happens at 4 o'clock. So you're just on that roller coaster ride of dealing with yeses, nos, this could happen, hurry up and wait, kind of deal like that. So, I mean, you just got to go with the flow.
Oh, absolutely. I think if that is the best way to approach it, is have a great attitude and just take it as it comes and keep on moving, because otherwise you're going to miss out on an opportunity because you had a bad day, right? You had a bad afternoon, a bad couple of hours.
Exactly.
Didn't answer that phone call, didn't or didn't give 110% on a call that you could have, and miss out. So yeah. So once you started to figure out that you were going down that path, given that you have such a crazy schedule for the last 8 years of traveling and everything like that, talk about how you balanced the workload of what is effectively another full-time job with traveling all over the country and or world.
So I think what has worked for me is, and I'm gonna say this, and I keep saying this over and over, is just being consistent. And the thing for me is that, let's say I have to be at the airport at 9 and I don't land to the city until 5 o'clock, because maybe it's on the West Coast or whatever. I always say, hey, in the morning, this is what I'm gonna get done, and I won't go to bed until I get it done. So if it's emails, I can do it in a Sky Club, I can do it in the airport, and I can do it in my hotel room. And I never give myself the excuse of, I'm too tired to get this done, because then I won't be able to go to sleep at night. So then the next day, same routine. Get up, write my list, I put it on my calendar, and make myself accountable.
Yeah, I think, that's definitely right there. Being able to hold yourself accountable is so important for everybody, whether you're talking about work or your own business or family. Being able to hold yourself accountable is such a key. Like it's such a magical key to be able to unlock for yourself, and not to have to rely on somebody else. Because guess what? Other people have bad days too, right? And they're not going to always be there to hold you accountable or make you feel powerful enough to do it for yourself. So you got to be able to do it for yourself, and you're not nobody's going to be perfect at it, right?
Exactly.
But and I always say, like with baseball, right? It's like if you can hit the ball 3 out of 10 times, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there you go.
Like he's not even that
There you
hot. Like,
go.
you don't have to hit 9 out of 10, right? You hit
Yeah.
3 out of 10, and you're doing pretty darn good. So
Exactly. And that's the way that I am. And I feel like I can't go to sleep at night if I don't do that, because then I know that I haven't done my best.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that is a big key. Is also feeling like you need to accomplish put your best work out there the most that you can, especially when you're probably jet lagged a lot.
Yes, exactly. But I do take that into account. But I also, like, if I am going to be, let's say I'm flying home that day and I've only had 3 hours of sleep because that's when my flight is the next day, I just try and get it done on the flight, or say, hey, as soon as I walk in the door, I'm the person that unpacks my luggage as soon as I get home, puts the laundry in, just because I know my schedule is so busy that if I, take a few steps back, I'm never going to get caught up.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you? So what was some of the steps you took to be able to practice your pitch? Like, especially because you're on a plane a lot of the time in a week.
So it's so funny that you say that, because I would go over my lines and, like, I would listen to, like, I put my AirPods in and I would, like, kind of speak to myself softly. I would say to the person next to me, like, hey, I'm not a little crazy. I'm just going over lines, But I also maybe had a little bit of one up because working with WWE, I feel like all of these people are entertainers. And it's just like, if I'm doing somebody's hair, I'm like, hey, can I go over my lines with you? And they actually, I don't know if anybody's told you this before, but they can switch up your lines until you step on stage. And so, they have to go through all of the lawyers to make sure that this is okay and make sure that that's okay. And they're like, okay, you can't say this because the lawyer came back and said this. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then it's like up until the time. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But it all worked out in the end. And I feel like it was very good that I did practice, because then I actually knew what I was saying.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I know the pest barrier guys. They like right up until they went out to film, didn't know whether or not Kevin was allowed to step on top of the scorpions, and Kevin was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Come on, I want to make great TV. Let's go. And then they're like, no. It was up to them to stop him. They weren't gonna stop filming apparently to get him to stop. So, yeah,
it's crazy. It is crazy. I mean,
Crazy.
it's like I said, like, even entrepreneur days, up and down. That's how it is for the show. It's crazy.
How did you go about setting up your offer, your initial offer? How did you figure out 200,000 for 30%? 30%?
Yes. Yeah. So how I came up with it is, I just figured out my sales for the year, because I taped in July and we had only been open for a year. We launched on July 5th and I taped in July of that following year. And I took my sales and I forecasted with all of, like, the viral TikToks and everything that I've had. I just forecasted the next year, the next 3 years, the next 5 years. And that's how I came up with my evaluation.
Okay. All right. So, that's one way to be able to do it. It's tough when you're 1 year in, right? Especially with a company that doesn't have a lot of assets, because you're not actively producing each one, I assume, since you're flying all over the country and world, and
That might be a little tough.
doing a full-time job, a full-time job there. So, so I, putting, so it makes it a bit tough when you have assets that you could add things in, add those things in and all. But, so going into the tank, how were you feeling about your chances of getting a deal? And did you have any shark in mind that you were specifically targeting?
I, going in, 100% thought I was getting a deal. I was, like, so pumped up. I'm like, I got this. This is great. My producer of Shark Tank, she was amazing. Like, I feel like we became buds over the, because we didn't air for, or tape for 6 months. So then it was like, you get to know this person, and she was hyping me up. Everybody's like, this is great. This is going to happen. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. So I didn't even think of, like, an exit interview. I had no idea. Like, I was like, okay, what am I going to say here? Like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I really thought I was going to get a deal. And I was really hoping that Lori Grenier was going to be able to give me even a licensing deal, because that's what I was, I said, you don't see a lot on the show, right? So I had, they had said to me, no, right? And then I went back to Emma Grede and I said, hey, I think that this would be great because she has the Skims line with Kim Kardashian. They're an all-inclusive company. We have 5 shades. I was going into that, but I also went back to Lori and I said, Lori, I feel like I would love you as a mentor. And that really, to me, was the reason why I wanted to go on the show. Because as an entrepreneur and inventor, I have so many ideas that I was just like, oh my gosh, if I could get into the next step of someone helping me get into retail, then this could just set me up because I have so many more ideas, And so I said, I've read your book, which I think she's great and her story is great. So I was like, I've read your book. I think you're amazing. I'd love you as a mentor. Would you be willing to give me a licensing deal? And she was like, not at this time. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you reading my book. She said, but I'll keep an eye out for you. So I was like, okay, thank you so much.
All right. So normally I would ask how you were feeling walking down the hallway. How were you feeling?
Nervous. Like I feel like I'm normally a behind the scenes person, like I'm doing the hair and makeup for a multi-billion-dollar company. I'm not in front of the camera. Of course I do like my TikToks and stuff like that, but I feel like I was so nervous because I just was like, oh my God, this could change my life. It really could change my life. I've been watching Shark Tank, for 13 seasons. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is like, as an inventor, this is like the Super Bowl, So I was just like, oh my God, this is how they feel. This is crazy. And then you get up there and it's like everybody, I was thinking that everyone would be a little bit closer, but because of COVID, so I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? This big room, this is so crazy. I'm used to large entertainment, but it was just like when the spotlight is on you, it's definitely different. So I was very nervous. And they tell you that they don't cut, right? So I'm like, okay, this is fine. I got it. I got my pitch down. I got the excitement because they tell me too. They're like, Brittany, you need to quiet your voice a little bit. You talk too loud. And I was like, okay, sorry. So during the pitch, because, I am putting the patch on my leg, I guess one of the cameras wasn't in the right place to actually get how I applied it.
Right.
So they're cut. And I'm like, wait, you said you don't cut. What's happening here?
Oh, okay. That's something I've never heard anybody say.
They threw me for a loop. I never heard that either. I was like, what is happening here? Oh my God. But I think it was just because the camera was in the wrong view. And, or maybe, because I am lifting up a dress, I did have shorts on, but maybe that was the thing they didn't really explain. But I was just like, okay, now what? And they're like, okay, you can start from that spot. So for me, I was like, oh, what spot are we in now? But it ended up being okay, and everything worked out.
That is, wow, yeah. That's not something that, like I said, I've ever heard happening before.
It happened.
Yeah, well, there you go. It happened. And when you, and that's got to be tough on you, because was that in the middle of your pitch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, that's
yeah. So
really...
you're all you're like, okay, I already started. This is good. I got it. And I'm in the middle. Yes. The patch went on great. Everything was great. And then I'm like, oh my God, you just blank. You're like, what? You just told me that you don't, So I was just like, whoa. I was definitely freaking out.
Yeah, I can imagine. I totally, because then you got to figure out, where did I leave off?
Mm-hmm.
And that's so tough, especially because they're probably like, okay, go.
Yeah.
And not okay, pick up from, flipping through the script and oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay, pick up from there.
Yeah.
And you're thinking 2 lines before, so you can hit it where you're supposed to hit it to help them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's tough. That's really rough. So in the tank though, it seemed like a common thread that you were being told that you don't need an investor. How do you feel about here? That to me feels like it would be a very deflating thing to hear after 13 years of I'm trying to get here, you get there, and yeah, you don't really need us. You're good.
Yeah, I just wanted to explain to them, I think so. In the episode, you saw that Mark Cuban is in the Chub Rub Club.
Yep.
And
Me
Robert
too.
Herjavec in the Chub Rub Club. So I'm like, okay, like this is great. This is what's going to happen. And then when they tell you, oh, we don't think you need an investor. And I'm like, well, the thing that comes along for me with an investor is mentorship, and helping with your connections. And so I don't think that they saw or don't understand how many people actually get chub rub, chafing. So it's like, but like with Robert and Mark, I was like, you guys clearly see that people have this problem and it's a huge problem. And I don't really think that they understood how many people. And if you look up chub rub on TikTok, there is millions of hashtags and searches for that.
It's a thing. I mean, this is an extreme case, but yeah, I mean, as a runner, I know all about it. It's a thing. I mean, heck, honestly, it's the reason I wear compression shorts like 90% of the time, because otherwise I won't be able to, like in an hour or two, I just won't be able to walk.
So I have a question of the day. Are you ready?
Yes.
I think someone just went to Disneyland or Disney World.
I did, and I didn't get to use them. That's why I have them here, and I plan on opening them. I know. I accidentally left them here. I was thinking about it. I didn't get to use it.
That's all right. I'll forgive you. Did you have chafing?
Not particularly. So, I mean, the thing about Disneyland versus Disney World is it's much, much smaller, right? In fact, like a lot, I've been to Disneyland like 5 times prior. But I don't think, even though we were crisscrossing the park a lot to avoid the lines, my watch did not go and I was barely hitting like 8 miles a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like,
that's still a lot. But
it is. Yeah.
for
But
Disney,
I did 5 this morning. So like, for me, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
But and it also was pretty cool. Like, I mean, during it got like, it was like peaking, and then, by, I don't know, 4:00, it was like all of a sudden someone turned the cold on, and it got cold real fast. So it wasn't too bad. I did use like a minimal amount of Vaseline in the morning, but I never felt like I had to reapply. Like in Disney World during the summertime, it's a bad time.
But
it's a real bad time.
I think that you're the one that said it makes a mess.
It does. It goes right through to the shorts, especially if you're wearing khaki shorts like me. Yeah, it does. But I'm in a theme park, so it's like people are wearing fanny packs and stuff. So, that's it.
So that's the reason, though. Honestly, I know on Shark Tank, they said that, what was the reason that you came up with this? And it came off and said that, it's because I work for WWE and they have thicker thighs and they work out, which that is the case, right? But how I actually came up with the product is that I've had chafing and chub rub since I was little. I remember going to Cedar Point. I'm originally from Ohio. I remember going to Cedar Point. If you've been, it's amazing. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's on my list.
What'd you say?
It is on my list to get there.
Oh my God, it's incredible. It really is. So I've had that problem since, we started going there when I was, 14 for school. And I'd always get so embarrassed because my friends never had that issue. And it's not that I was overweight. It's just I had bigger thighs. It's just how my body was made. And it's something that you definitely don't talk about when you're that young. And so had this issue. My sister, actually, it's funny because she does layers. Before the chub rub patch, she did layers of, it was like Vaseline. Then it was like wait 5 minutes. Then it was powder on top of that. Then it was like spray something on top of that. It was literally like a 15-minute thing. And we're like, where's my sister JC? Okay. Like, she's still putting on her chafing products. So my sister, Megan, and I went to a Miami Dolphins game, and she had wore Spanx because she had to wear them for chafing. And it's 90 degrees out, and we were in a porta potty, or she was going to the porta potty. I was waiting for her. And she comes out, and she's like pale as a ghost. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? She was in there for like 5 minutes. And like, people are looking at me, hey, I'm like, I don't know. She's in the bathroom. What do you want me to do? And so she comes out, and she's pale as a ghost. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, are you okay? And she's kind of like, looks a little wobbly. And she's like, oh my God, I almost passed out in there. She's like, because I was wearing shapewear, so I didn't chafe. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. And so then that's when I started. And I was actually trying to license the product. And then the pandemic happened. And every company that I contacted was like, okay, this is a great product, but not right now. You know, the world is up in arms right now and we have no idea what's going on. So I was like, okay, here we go. I'm going to manufacture. And that's when the whole ball started rolling because I didn't want to miss another summer.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to think there other than Vaseline, there was another product that I had used that was another like silicone-ish type of product.
Well, there's quite a few deodorants, gels, creams. There's Monostat Chafing has one. There's some other kind of zone something, chafe zone or something. But the thing for me was that I would wear it. I would be that person, put it in my purse, I'd put it on. And then an hour later, I'm like, oh my God, I'm starting to chafe. Have to go back in the bathroom, apply it. And I would do it like 3 or 4 times. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I've been there, and it's not fun to have to reapply, especially like if it's during a race, or anything. I mean, it's funny, like, dude, like marathons, like people will grab the Vaseline on a stick and then they'll like shove it right in their pants, and I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. I don't think I could do that.
Had the Chub Rub
patch. I do. And I do. So, and I will. I definitely want to give them a try, especially on a longer run. So that's one of the things. Like thinking about, like I want to make sure that I give it where I have enough, like 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe up to 10 miles, right? Because otherwise, like I feel like I'm not getting my use, like a real good use out of it. I mean, I feel like I don't get a good run unless it's like 3 to 5 miles minimum. Like I'm barely even warmed up. Like if I go and do a 1 mile, like I could do it faster, but it's just not.
But
I don't know.
The thing is that people do also need to realize too is that that's so great about our product is that it can last up to 3 to 4 days. So I shower in it. I go in the pool, and
you do shower in it. That was my question about. You were like, "Oh, you can wear it 3 to 4 days," and I'm like, "Would I really want to though?" Like,
I mean, to be honest with you, I work out in it, everything, and nothing happens to it.
Should I shave before then the area in which I'm going to apply?
We do now we suggest that you do shave, but you don't have to because I mean, not throwing my boyfriend's info out there, but he uses them and he doesn't.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, Kenny.
When we're talking about Chub over here, there's nothing should be off limits here.
Yeah, exactly. Just talk about everything.
So I am looking forward to giving it a real try. I was trying to make it happen. Like I said, I was like, I should take this to Disney World, but then I was like, do I need to shave? Do I not need to shave? Actually, I had forgotten to bring Vaseline anyway. Like we brought like the little like travel one, and it was like pretty much empty when we got. So I'm like, oh, we got to go to CVS, and then they couldn't even tell me where to get it. I was like, oh, I'll just buy another like little travel one. No, I had to buy like a big tub of it, and I'm like, I have tons of this at home, so
exactly.
Like, it's just
but
waste,
the thing is like, and going back to the Shark Tank show is like they were like, so what's when people rebuy the product, and I'm like, the thing is, it's like, for instance, like you know, you go to Disney and you were like, oh crap, I forgot my stuff for that. You know, I've even like, I was flying to Costa Rica and I was like, oh my God, I like panicked because I was like, I don't have my Chub Rub patches. And of course, you know, I look at my book bag and I carried them everywhere with me. So I'm like, oh my God, thank God I have them. But if I could be, you know, going to a friend's barbecue or going for, you know, to go run 10 miles, I'm normally going to go to CVS that day and go pick up something that's going to help me with it. And I mean, we are on Amazon now, so you can get them in 2 days. But at the same time, it's like not something that you normally think about beforehand.
Do you feel like like have you gone to any of those meetings to meet with like a CVS or a Walgreens or any of those places? Any big box yet?
We are definitely trying to get into big box, and we are also had a lot of people contact us in the military because of their runs and the material that they've used. And, you know, we've also like been contacted by Runner's World and like other kind of running companies because, you know, that's where people need it. People need it in everyday life at their friend's backyard barbecue. because then you don't have to think about what you want to wear. You know, you're like, okay, now I have to wear my pants, or now I can't wear a skirt tomorrow because I've shaved. Or it's like, you know, I've never thought about people that are riding horses contacted us. So we're definitely, you know, we're a month, 2 months out from Shark Tank. So we've definitely been trying to get into these big box stores.
I didn't know if like some of the conversation would be like, because it might be uncomfortable for some people to even think about, right? Like when you're like, some people don't even want to admit that that's a thing, right? So
Right.
like thinking about having it in the store and then getting the attention of people to think, ooh, like that might be something I want to get.
Yes.
You
And that's
know?
the reason why we are trying to get into big box stores. It's just like, honestly, it's like every woman has their period. I know nobody wants to talk about it, but at the same time, it's like, hey, this happened. This is real life. Let's talk about it. And that's another one of the reasons why, you know, going into, they're saying they don't like the name on Shark Tank. And I'm like, it's catchy and it makes people feel good and it's fun, you know, and that's the reason why we made the packaging so bright and fun, because first of all, it was during the pandemic and everything was so gloomy that I was like, I want something that I can send to someone in the mail. They open it up and they're not ashamed of something that is happening to them, you know, and they can't talk about it with maybe some other people, but I can make them feel good with them opening my product and using it.
That ding dang. I
Ding
like
dang.
that. We want to, you know, put a smile on people's faces before they even, you know, get to use the product because of all the reasons you just said, all the marketing
Yes.
reasons that you just said. And I mean, I think for me, it's just, I guess it's just the education, the public education of another uncomfortable thing to think about, to like, here's the solution, and it's not just buying you know, a big tub of Vaseline and again having your pants, underwear and everything else ruined in the process.
Yes.
I mean, to me, like the shower, or not the shower, the beach example, I think is great, because anytime you're walking around in a bathing suit, it just sucks. It really,
Oh my gosh.
really sucks.
It's horrible. It really is horrible. It, like, honestly has ruined plenty of my fun outings, because you just sit down. You're like, I cannot deal with this. And I don't think that people know unless they get it. And that's the thing, is like, you know, when I showed the picture, everyone was like, I don't want to look at that. Well, that's real life for a lot of people. And a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, no, it definitely, it absolutely is, and has ruined many vacations and runs for me, cut them short and stuff like that.
Yes.
So did you, going into Shark Tank, did you feel like it was an advantage or a disadvantage that your product was so new?
You know, I think I would say, looking back now, it probably was a disadvantage. But I think that's when it's hot, and that's what is, it's viral on TikTok and everything like that. And I feel like, if I waited maybe 2 or 3 years, I wouldn't need the help, So I was like, hey, let's get in while it's hot and let's do it now. I'm a person that doesn't want to wait for anything. It's like, hey, if I have, something going on in my head, I'm like, let's get it done. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, let's go on to something else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Always falling forward, failing forward, and falling forward. Because the quicker you now, with that said, like, it's not like you had no sales at the time. I mean, that definitely is a respectable amount, especially for being D2C and, not being on Amazon even.
Yes.
To have,
we actually got on Amazon 10 minutes before the episode aired.
Wow.
I was like, and this is so funny because, everyone has these amazing watch parties and everything, and it's so great. And yes, of course I did, but I wasn't at any of them because I was working for WWE and we were in Canada. And so I was telling everyone, like, yes, granted, my friends at work threw me a watch party, which is amazing, but we had a show. We have a live show, and it's the biggest entertainment company in the world. So it's not like I'm like, hey, hold on, sorry, I got to watch this show that I'm on. So what happened is that it aired at 8, And I had like 65 text messages until 10 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm not looking at any of these. Nobody that's watched it tell me anything, because you don't know anything. You don't know what they're going to air. You don't know what they're going to cut and chop and put on and not put on. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And so I ended up watching it at 10:15 with my friends, and we cheersed a little bit. And my family watched it at my sister's, and then my boyfriend threw me a watch party in Fort Lauderdale at a little place. So I was like, oh, that's so amazing. But it's so funny that, hey, it's the entrepreneur life, and you got to keep it moving.
Yeah. That absolutely, especially when you're working the job that's a demanding job at that, you know.
Yes.
So going back a little bit, so leaving the tank, you don't get a deal. What was some of the first things you did once you got back home, like or wherever home is at that point?
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale. I tried to take a breather. That was the first thing, because I mean they only tell you 2.5 weeks before you air. So you're just, bumping and grinding, making sure that everything is in order, make sure you have enough inventory. And actually the thing that I did that I think helped me the most, and this I'll get into the next question, is that as soon as I aired on Shark Tank and knew I didn't get a deal, I was like, how am I going to know how much inventory? So I hired a brand strategist, and she really, really helped me figure out how much inventory. And she was pretty on point with that, which was amazing. But when I got back, we just started, like I said, keep it moving, keep it going, and, doing the podcast, doing the interviews, and then making sure that we still have inventory, and all the day-to-day stuff just keeps going like that as you're adding in the podcast, as you're adding in all of the other stuff. And another great thing, I don't know if anybody's told you about this, but I hope I'm allowed to talk about it. But once you're on Shark, here we go. Once you're on Shark Tank, there's this group that they allow you to be in on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if other other Shark Tank people have talked about it, but it's honestly amazing. And I feel like for me, not getting a deal and being allowed to be in this group has changed my world. Everybody is so nice and kind and helpful, and like, hey, you have a question, you reach out to someone on there, they're like, yes, here, let me help you with this. And I've even been to Shark Tank reunion since then, and everybody's so great. And I'm like, how is this possible? Is this real? It's because I feel like everyone has been, like we talked about, being in the lines, getting the products or being in line for Shark Tank. It's like everybody knows the struggle. And so they're like, here, let me help you out, because I've been through this, and I don't want to see you fail.
So I mean, I know of at least two groups that were started. One, there's like an earlier group, like an early on group, and then one that was started later on. So I don't know which person, we could talk about it later, but which person is the one that is part of that group or started that group that you're talking about, unless there's a third group that I don't know about.
I mean, I think the person that started ours was on season 1.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe I'm missing out on another one.
There's one by Joe Altieri, the Flex. The Flex
I
screen.
don't know about that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has his own as well. But I know about the one that was from season 1. And look, getting to know all these people and building friendships and stuff has been absolutely awesome, because these people are real people. And I think, for me, as because I've gotten some people, not many, but some people in the comments are like, Joe, you're real, like, softy on these people, like, this isn't investable and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, everything has perspective, right? And you need to, like, sometimes look at it from a different perspective to be able to understand that, yeah, it might not be for you. Like,
exactly.
Or it intentionally is just not for you at all. That doesn't make it uninvestable necessarily, but sometimes it's the deal isn't, like, oh, we came in for $400,000 for 5%. Like, okay, but that's not, deals over 300,000 don't generally happen, right? Like, it's just 250,000 is like the top end, or the starting part of the top end for deals to happen in most cases, because it's well, I say only, but they're not all billionaires, right? Or 100 billionaires, trillionaires.
Right,
It's just like,
exactly.
yeah, 250, that's nothing. That's lunch, That's no big deal. Like,
That's
it's
a
a
big lunch,
big
but hey.
deal. Hey, everybody get gold flake pizza or something, with lobsters and whatever on top. But
I want to be at that lunch. Invite
yes,
me.
yeah, I will. I will.
You better.
I might be in your backyard in a couple like 4 weeks or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for my dad has 2 houses down there, and he's trying to get everybody to come down. So
Hey, let's link up. Let's go
we'll
out
see
for
if you're around. I know you're
I'll have to check
flying around.
my schedule, but for Joe, let's do it.
See. All right, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yes, I love it.
I will let you know if it actually comes to fruition if we go down. So where was I going to this? So
You're already thinking about that cocktail that we're gonna have on the beach. That's why you got distracted.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So let's dive into inventory. So how did the sales go? Like, when did you finally check into the sales? Obviously, you said you waited until later to check the text messages. You don't have to give the actual numbers of the sales unless you want to, but were you underwhelmed, surprised, overwhelmed, like sold out? Like, where were you at, like, where was what your expectations were versus what actually transpired?
I think it was so funny because I felt like definitely, I mean, I'm just going to say it was tenfold of what we have been selling. So it's incredible to be on the show. Yes. But I felt like I was still it was probably 2 weeks in after the airing that I was like, wow, did this really just happen? Because you have to come up for breath and you're just like, oh my God, is this happening? Is this working? Did this person get this product? Oh, what happened here? We have to contact this person. It's just like so much going on that you really I didn't get that moment of being like, oh my God, this happened, because I didn't have that, watch party with my friends and family back home, that I was like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. So I was very excited about the sales. I think they were, they exceeded my expectation. Yes. But I didn't really see that until about 2 weeks after, because it's just, I mean, you're just trying to put out fires left and right. And, I'm still traveling for work because they only tell you 2.5 weeks before. So I'm glad that I've had a lot of help from family and friends and boyfriends and
boyfriends.
I mean, sorry, I don't want. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Sorry, Kenny.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're trying to get me in trouble, Joe.
No, you got yourself in trouble.
You're trying to get me in trouble.
Oh,
Friends, and boyfriend. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh man. Okay.
Please exit. Where do I push leave?
Oh, okay.
So funny.
So when at what point did you find out about my video being online?
I think I was still actually in Canada, and somebody had sent it to me and said, "Hey, did you know about this this YouTube?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I remember watching it on the treadmill in Canada." So it was about a day or two. When did you tape it? A day after?
No, I taped that night.
Oh, that night? Yeah. I think I watched it maybe that next day at the gym.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, this is great. I love it.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. As I enjoy getting to make them and then get to have these great, awesome conversations later on. And I thought because I don't generally have time as of late. I mean, in the past I did a little research before about what businesses were going to be there. I do like a preview video or whatever, but I kind of just cut that out because it wasn't really, it's tough because like I want to look at the website to like kind of go over what it is, but then I'm also looking at the website and social media when we're doing at the end of the video. So like I don't want to do it again, and I like it to be a surprise to me, so it could be as genuine and off the cuff, and because it's all recorded live here.
Yes, and I want to say thank you because you did give us some recommendations. I haven't done them all, but I did fix the one that you said that was a little confusing, because I don't know if you remember, but you said that it said 2 packs. instead of
Oh,
two pair.
yeah.
So I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that being confusing. So I was like, thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate that.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. I mean,
We'll
that's
send
one
you
of those
another
things.
pack for free for your next Disney adventure.
Which is coming up in a couple of months here.
There you go.
So, it's always those little things that like you make sense to you in the moment when you're doing it, when you're writing it out, but then until you get somebody else's eyes on it, and it's like, oh, does that mean this amount or that amount? Like, and I'm trying to, and that's why I do it the way I do live, and not really look at the website before. I don't like to even look at the social media. Like I open up all the tabs and just keep them open without trying to look at them, because I sometimes the social media can kind of tell the story before I've even gone to watch the episode. Yeah. So like sense. It's a bit tough to sometimes do that and try to keep it as because I also try to like make it so I don't know if you got a deal or not, like when I'm doing the recording so I have the video to be able to play it here. Yeah,
I think it's better that way. I feel like it's just live and in person.
It is.
Great.
It is. It very much. I mean, the older episodes I have watched up to season 6, so but I don't quite remember most of them or how they end. So like I like to try to keep it as much of a thing so that it's as genuine as possible. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. That's great.
So what does the future of Chub Rub look like? I almost put an R in there.
The Chub Rub patch.
The Chub Rub. I can't talk. Chub Rub.
The Chub Rub patch future is very great. Like you said, or how I was saying before, is that like so many people have reached out to us and given us advice. Even just random people, like I about the military. I never even thought of that. I mean, I'm not in the military. I don't know a lot of people that are in the military, so I don't know what they go through. So, so many people reached out for that. Like I said, horseback riding, people, runners, all of that. So we're really trying to get it in front of those people so that they know that the product exists. And then we're also look out, because we will be maybe coming out with a 2.0.
Hey, ding, ding.
Yes, that is what 2023, the rest of the year looks like for us. So it's very exciting.
Sweet. It's always good to look back at these interviews and see where you were at the time. It's a documentation of that journey. So before we wrap up and all that, can you tell everyone where they can go and get their own Chub Rub patch?
You can get it on Amazon. It's available on Amazon, but you can also go to the chubrubpatch.com, and you can follow us on all social media at the Chub Rub Patch.
Love it. That is awesome. And it's so great that you're on Amazon. It makes it so much easier. Is it available for same-day delivery yet anywhere?
It is not, but we are working on that and on retail. So I'll keep you guys updated. Just follow us on social media.
Absolutely. So, Brittany, I really appreciate you taking the time to come here and chat and get to document some of your story. Is there any final thoughts you'd like to share before we wrap up here?
I just want to say that to anybody that's thinking about inventing a product or being an entrepreneur, don't let anybody tell you no, because I had so many people in my life that, hey, you're crazy. Why would you do something like that? You have an amazing job. Like, why aren't you just happy with that? And I just feel like if you have the passion for it, go for it and get it done.
Yes, absolutely. You gotta live your true self, and sometimes that requires a lot of sleepless nights.
Yes,
exactly. In the process, because we got to get what's out or in us out.
Yes.
Out into the world, and you're doing an awesome job. So keep it up, and if there's anything I can do to help you, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, and I'm holding you to coming down and having that cocktail.
Yes, if it's not in a few handful of weeks, it'll happen at some point. I promise.
All right, sounds great.
I still got to get down there. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this interview. If you haven't watched Brittany's pitch, click on up here. If not, I'll see you in the video down below. Take care and go be super.
Thank you.